a door, and it's going to be totally confidential here. It seems like a lot of your answers, you're talking about how the sort of nuts and bolts concrete infrastructure stuff that you're talking about, nothing wrong with cement and concrete. It's equally important. But how it all relates to all the other economic policy and social policy issues. So when you're sitting in that cabinet table, are you sort of on your own, or are you all talking about how, or are they seeing what you're doing equally important to what they're having to do in terms of health policy or social policy or economic policy or breaks for the middle class and that kind of thing?
Well, I can't really talk about what goes on at the cabinet table because I'll be breaking the law, right? And I'm getting into big trouble, and there's so much media here, right? So even if you promise that you won't tell anyone, I'm pretty sure they'll tell someone. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I think the way our government makes decisions is seeing it through the lens of people. Just focusing on people. Everything we do should make people's life better. It should create opportunities for people to succeed. So whether you're building a public transit system, right? You're building it because you want to make sure that people have an efficient, safe mode of transportation, that reduces their day-to-day hassles of being stuck in traffic. Right? If you're building housing, you're building that because people need a decent place to live. I think that having that people-based lens on everything you do, and that's what we try to do, right, as a government. So whether it's Canada Child Benefit investments, whether it's early learning and childcare facilities being built, or better retirement plan, or making your tax system more fair so that wealthier Canadians pay their fair share. So all those things kind of tie into building strong communities and building strong families and building strong individuals.
Okay, I'll ask mayors if you could comment briefly on the social infrastructure and housing issues.
So Mayor Crombie and I work at the Region of Peel and work on the affordable housing file in many different respects, and we're working on a more robust plan for over the next 10 years that'll be coming forward shortly. But from a practical perspective, one of the challenges when I first became mayor, I happened to run into Shelley White, who was the head of United Way at the time, and talked to me about a problem that was very specific to Brampton, which essentially was that if you were a young person that was homeless, you could not find a shelter bed anywhere in Brampton to stop for the night. So if you have to be moved from your city and you're having problems with your family, or there's some kind of family problem that you can't go home for that evening, it's really hard to sustain good marks in school or that part-time job, or even find a way to reunite that family if in fact you're being housed somewhere in Toronto or elsewhere in order to find that shelter bed. So from a very practical perspective, we at the region sat down, rolled up our shirt sleeves, and found the money to find 30 shelter beds this year. But I think those are the very small practical examples, but it is extraordinarily frightening how many people are still on a wait list, how much poverty there still is in the Region of Peel. The statistics, I think, tell us there's about 17% of Peel residents live in poverty. They're one paycheck, many of them are one paycheck away from catastrophe. They don't have savings. Many of them are in that uncertain work environment where they're working contract or hourly wages. It doesn't really matter how much you raise the minimum wage if you can't afford the rent that you have, if you can't afford a car, you can't afford car insurance. All of these pieces affect you and as a family, and your ability, your children don't do well in school, your health suffers. All of these are spillover effects. So we have to get that affordable housing piece right, and certainly we've got people who are waiting more than 5 years to get subsidized housing. We can do better. We have to do a better job, and I think having a federal partner who's talking to us and making sure that we can renovate those properties, and working with the private sector. We've got a lot of developers who are being actually very helpful, working with groups like Habitat for Humanity. These are all ways of making the affordable housing projects come to life, be successful, and certainly it's something that I think we strive to do. I don't think we do it fast enough. I don't think we can react quickly enough, but certainly, you know, it's about changing attitudes as well. In the city of Brampton, there was great resistance to even legalizing basement apartments or accessory units. Only recently has my council agreed that this is the right thing to do. You kind of have to drag them there, but this is an affordability issue for seniors, for students, for newcomers. You know, those are the people that we're trying to find a way to help them be successful in our region, and we have to have partnerships, whether it's with the province or the federal government, to help us help our residents.
So, Mayor Jeffrey and I, as you know, we sit on Peel Region, and I think we all agree that home ownership or having a home, whether it's a rental or you own it, provides that sense of safety, security that families need to prosper, to thrive, and so that individuals can work. At the region of Peel, I just looked up the numbers, Mayor Jeffrey, we spent $166 million over the 4-year period, and that goes towards 437 affordable units, 120 down payments, and almost 4,500 rent supplements to help those in need. As Mayor Jeffrey has told you, we have 17% of our residents who still live under the LICO line, low income line. We have in Peel 12,500 people on a waiting list. Seniors waiting over 5 years, singles waiting 7 years, and families waiting almost 8 years for housing, despite the efforts. So we thank you. We have $15 billion in social infrastructure, but each year we need to add because the wait list is so long. Now in Mississauga, we've taken a different approach because of the region of Peel. We have housing for those in need. We don't have to worry about the upper end. We're worrying about the middle. So our council has created a strategy called Making Room for the Middle. We're very concerned that 30%, that there are households, 33% of Mississauga households are spending more than 30% of their income on housing, and you shouldn't spend more than 30% of your gross income on housing whatsoever. So we're worried about the middle class. Those are folks earning $55,000 to $100,000. Those are teachers, service workers, librarians, nurses, etc. We don't want them priced out of the market. We want to ensure that they can continue to live and work in the city of Mississauga. So they can afford to pay only $250,000 to $500,000, $400,000 for a home. So we're trying to find ways to incentivize the building of homes. Sometimes they're going to be townhouses or stacked townhouses or affordable units and condos that are in that price range. And we have a list of 40 different recommendations. We're working with different levels of governments, whether it's inclusionary zoning. We're an early adopter of basement apartments as well, forgiving or deferring development charges, different techniques that we have found that we can use to incentivize the building of more affordable units for families. And we're very proud of that. And actually we have a goal that we incentivize 35% of the new housing stock be affordable, whether it's rent geared to income or affordable ownership units. So we're very proud of that as a council. We have I'm not going to take credit for it, our council, we had a large panel. I see Joe here, he helped work on us. We had a large panel of folks from the development industry, from the building industry, think tanks, from the provincial government, and of course at City Hall here as well. Our Commissioner of Planning, of course, very instrumental. I think it's one of his passions. We have some councillors that are very passionate about it. So we created a strategy to ensure that our residents will continue to live and work here by incentivizing the development of more affordable units.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Crombie. I'll ask anyone who's got a question, if you want to come forward and you can use the mic here. I see someone there. Go ahead. Jeanette, I think do you want to come closer up?
Sure.
Thanks.
Hello, thank you. My name is Jeanette Chow. I'm an engineer, and I'm here with my colleagues from the Mississauga and Brampton chapters of Professional Engineers Ontario. And my question here is for the Minister. You mentioned that you have about $1 billion to invest over the next few years in all the different infrastructure projects. And we know that there are a lot of municipalities that are around, and you've also heard that we are sometimes, Mississauga and Brampton are considered a bedroom community of Toronto. They also often say that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And with Toronto being a larger city with a lot more people, a lot more voice and noise, how do you recommend that cities like ours, municipalities like ours, get the notice, get the ability to advocate for that share of the pie?
Thank you for that question, because fair and equitable allocation is something that is very important to my department and is important to our government. So the way we are designing our new funding, the $95 billion of the $180 billion overall investment is new money. $95 billion is new money. So we are looking at, first of all, vast majority of that money is going to go to municipal infrastructure. So that's good news. The allocation formula is being developed in a way that every municipality gets their fair share.